All right, let's dive into it. So the Sooners get their schedule for the 2024 SEC season and just the opponents. We don't have dates, but we've got who the Sooners are going to play in Norman and who they will go on the road to take on. Let's start with the home games, Ted. Alabama, Big Bad Bama, coming to Norman. Tennessee, coming to Norman. South Carolina, and then the fourth home game, OU will be the home team against Texas there in the Red River Rivalry, which, by the way, we were instructed to start calling it that again. So I never stopped calling it that, but turns out it's going to go back to that official name. I don't have to change anything because I've always called it that.
I think I have too. I'm not sure. I don't even know what it was last year. Was it Showdown? Okay. We're back to rivalry. That's fine. I'm okay with that, I guess.
Sure. Bama, Tennessee, South Carolina. Man, you just compare it to the schedule, the home schedule this season. What? Iowa State, West Virginia, TCU. Which one am I forgetting? There's one more, but
UCF.
How could I forget? Sorry, UCF.
All former non-Power 5 teams except for Iowa State.
It's night and day, man.
Yep.
And ultimately, you think, why did Oklahoma do this? Why'd they make this decision? Looking at that, what that home schedule is going to look like. That's why.
That's it. Yep. No doubt. And, it is interesting, that the OU Texas game is the best rivalry in all of sports. We love the venue. Everything about the game every year is special. It's just awesome. But it does come with some big drawbacks, and having that game neutral site every year, like we just have the three conference home games next year. Like that is not optimal, right? Not optimal, not how you would want it. But I'm assuming when Texas is the home team, it's going to flip for us and we'll have the four. So we'll kind of alternate back and forth between that. That kind of makes you want that 9-game conference schedule, doesn't it?
It does. And I'm pretty confident that you're only getting a year or two of the 8-game schedule. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, is it ideal? No, just like you mentioned, but I think it's a short-term situation, right? I really do think the SEC wants to get a year or two of data or just, kind of comfortability with the expanded playoff and what that all is going to look like. But yeah, when you just see, oh wait, they're only getting 3 SEC conference games on Owen Field. It does look a little weird when you just look at it on paper because it says home Texas and every OU fan's going, that game's in Dallas. That doesn't count. But you've got the two, looking at the 2024 schedule as a whole, right? You've got Temple and Tulane. They're going to come to Norman. And then you've got 2 open spots, right? Where OU's got to go find someone to come to Norman and play him, right? Since you're only going to have those 3, you would think you would try to get those other 2 to be home games, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's late in the game. It's more difficult to get non-conference games scheduled than I guess you would imagine, especially whenever it's this late. The handful of teams that have open schedules, I'm sure, are going to make a really, really strong counter offer to whatever it is that we say we'll pay him to come play a game, right? Like, knowing that we're kind of under the gun, it's probably going to cost us a pretty penny.
There's no doubt about it. Here's my prediction for Bama in 2024. They're going to be a really talented football team, and they're going to be very well coached. They will have early round draft picks all over the field. Going too far out on a limb, I feel pretty confident in that assessment.
Yeah, Yep. That's probably going to be right.
I don't know if it'll be Milroe or Simpson or Buckner at quarterback, maybe Eli Holstein, right there, 2023 signee.
Yeah.
I got no idea.
That's kind of the interesting thing. Like, it feels like their quarterback situation right now is um, undecided as it's been. Like previously, they've had, some movement there, but it was usually because a young guy was so good, right? Like with the Tuis and Hurt situation. Like right now, it almost we're led to believe that they don't have anyone at quarterback. That I think that's going to be fixed by the time they come to Norman. They're going to know who their guy is for sure.
Yeah, and when you look at it, they had the number 1 ranked recruiting class in 2021, the number 2 ranked recruiting class in 2022, and the number 1 ranked recruiting class in 2023. They're going to have a lot of good football players on their team. It's been that way for a while there. So a team unlike any other that we have seen, maybe you put 2016 Ohio State, right, in that conversation. That's going to be a roster that looks unlike anything OU fans have seen on that field in a very long time. And that game is going to feel massive.
Yeah.
And we assume it would be awesome if that's OU's first SEC game.
Yeah.
Right? Put that in prime time.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to have to play them. I'd rather play them right out of the gate, like game 2 of the season, than I would playing them mid-season or even late season. I
completely agree.
Have them guessing a little bit as to what we've been cooking up in the offseason to throw at them. I'm assuming Jackson Arnold's going to be starting quarterback. You don't want them to build an entire book on what he's got and how we're going to use him. I'd prefer to play that game early. Problem is, the rest of that difficult roster or schedule rather is going to there's not going to be any surprises for them. So, but that's just how it's going to be from now on. And I think everyone's probably going to go through excitement with all the great games and then some trepidation in there, right? Like, oh boy, this is different.
It's exactly how I responded when I saw the schedule, because I am so used to looking at Oklahoma's schedule, looking at the Texas game and going, hey, you never know. And then looking at essentially every other game and going, win. That could be a tough road trip. Win. Like, that's what we've known for years and years. That is not the reaction I have when I look at this schedule.
Right.
And I assume I'm not alone in that, in feeling that way, but that's the new reality until Venables and that staff can really stack the roster with talent. And that's going to take time, but they're going to be playing some teams that have better players than they do. And that is not something we're used to.
Yeah. Which, Coach Venables was up there tonight and talked about, they continue to improve the roster, and that's true. It doesn't matter what happens between now and the game against Alabama. You will not have a better roster than Alabama. It does not matter what happens between now and then. It's just not going to happen. Alabama's roster right now, just looking at 5-star recruits and class rankings, it's probably in the best position it's ever been. Right. With all the number 1 recruiting classes, the amount of 5-star kids that they have. Now, Tennessee, I mean, if you want to go off recruiting rankings, you should be close. LSU, if you want to go off recruiting rankings, you should be close. But I think you and I would probably both agree right now that there's more SEC-ready football players on Tennessee's roster and LSU's roster than there is Oklahoma's roster, and probably by a large margin.
There is work to be done.
Yep.
There's absolutely work to be done, and that's what makes this exciting. Like it's a new challenge, right? For players, coaches, fans. It's a new challenge for everyone.
It's real. Like it's right there. You can look at it, right? All of the speculation is over. If anyone was thinking about just, hanging around, letting time pass a little bit before you really get geared up, like that's over. It's on the slate.
Yeah, and we'll get into what the fans like, the role the fans will play. They're moving forward, and what they need to do. But that Tennessee game, Josh Heupel homecoming, man, that there could be quite a bit of emotion before that game. I'm hoping we butter him up.
We got to throw everything we got at him.
You got to throw the sappy welcome home Josh video. You got to do it. We got to get in his head before kickoff.
Right, we got to have some big goofy what's the stuff you make a big statue out of it's not paper mache. Is it paper mache? Is that right?
Yeah.
You got to have a 14 out there. We've got to do everything we can to get his mind off the game. It's going to be frustrating as hell for him, but that's got to be our goal. Every time out, Heupel highlights playing in the stadium, all his former teammates lining the visitor sideline whenever they walk in, just everything we got.
And that will be a fun aspect of that game, but also on one sideline, in all likelihood, you're going to have Jackson Arnold starting at quarterback. And on the other one, you're probably going to have Nico Iamaleava. I mean, two of the highest ranked recruits at the quarterback position in their recruiting class. And whoever wins that one, that's going to feel like a big time win, right? Especially we'll see where it ends up falling in the schedule. If that one's early, that could be a huge springboard game for either of those guys, which is, you're just thinking about storylines as we look at this schedule. That could be a fun one.
Yeah. Just looking at it right now, that's the one thing that I would say is quarterback wise, right? Depending on who Bama has at the time, right? I think you're probably right on Tennessee. South Carolina is going to be breaking in a new queue. LSU is going to be breaking in a new queue. We'll see what Auburn has figured out. It's not a murderer's row of quarterbacks, like a USC is about to face this year out in the Pac-12, and it's, as we look at it right now, you're not shaking in your boots at quarterback with any of the teams. Now, obviously that could change whenever we see the young kid from Tennessee. He may be otherworldly. LSU, I think, is going to do a good job being more consistent and probably finding some better quarterback play. So we'll see. But I mean, that's one notable thing about it right now.
Yeah. So overall home slate, how you feeling? Bama, Tennessee, South Carolina.
Fantastic.
If you're only getting three, that's a solid three.
It's a solid three. There's tons of storylines there. You're getting the elite of the elite. You get the measuring stick right out of the gate. At least I think it's going to be early in the season. Maybe it's not, but you're going to get to measure yourself against the best. You got an up and coming Tennessee that is got some attitude behind them all of the sudden, and South Carolina team that continues to improve, man. And we've never played South Carolina. That's a first. So I think you're going to get three big fan bases that are probably going to travel into Oklahoma. So that's going to be fun to mix it up with those fan bases. I think it's great.
Is Shane Beamer our enemy now?
No.
Okay.
Not until we play the final game of 2023.
Okay. You think he'll still come on the podcast?
Probably. He'd probably come on the podcast the week of the game.
That's true. He's the man.
He's
But
just the greatest guy ever.
he will be our sworn enemy that Saturday.
That's right.
But that is, I mean, he's doing some really good things there. We'll see if they continue, because they've lost some guys in the portal over the last couple of seasons, like really, really good players.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like the momentum is headed in a really good direction for him. It seems like they're recruiting really well, heading into this cycle. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you look at it and you go, oh, easiest home conference game is South Carolina. That's a bit different, man.
But I mean, you look at it, the home and away of the 8 conference opponents, like who knows at the time, but for top 25, Bama, yes. Tennessee, yes. South Carolina, I would assume, yes. Texas, yes. LSU, yes. Ole Miss, probably. Auburn and Missouri are your wild cards, right? Now, we look at our schedule this year. Texas may be the only top 25 team we play.
Different.
It
is different. Okay, the away games. Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, and Missouri. Death Valley at night, right? I mean, come on. They got to put it at night. Come on.
If we're winning games and they're winning games, it'll be at night. Right? I mean,
now let me make something clear. Going and playing there at night probably is not the best way for OU to win that game. I think everyone would agree that like 11 a.m. kickoff would be a good one for the Sooners for that one. But you have rubbed off on me, Ted. If we're going to go to LSU and we're going to experience that fan base, I want it all. Just give me it at night. Give me them at their most lubed up. I want to feel the hate. Give me the hate. Give it all to me. I want to shower in the hate.
It's going to taste and smell like beer, but you will shower in it. Probably literally going to happen, Gabe. But hey, for a road slate, our fans have been wanting some places to go. We've never played at LSU. We've never played at Ole Miss. We've never played at Auburn. Right out of the gate, 3 of your 4, you've never played in their stadium before. That's as much as you can ask for, right?
Yeah. I mean, you wanted something new. Here you go.
Start fueling up the RVs. Let's go.
Get the frequent flyer miles. Get them loaded up. Buy a fuel efficient vehicle to get you to some of these places, or what? I don't know. But looking at the away slate, clearly LSU at night. I think that's kind of the pinnacle of going on the road in the SEC, right? Of the experience for a fan, for a player. But from a fan perspective, Ole Miss, like the Grove is supposed to be one of the coolest experiences for fans, tailgating, like that entire atmosphere. That's supposed to be top notch. So yeah, that's got to be incredibly exciting for the fan base.
Right out of the gate, year 1, you get to see perhaps the most daunting. You get to see the biggest party atmosphere, supposedly. And I honestly, what more could you ask for? I think it's great. Going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a challenge. But man, I honestly feel like one of the reasons we're kind of where we are is it just as a fan base, as an administration, as a program, I think we've just kind of been on cruise control, right? Just kind of uninterested, falling asleep at the wheel, ready for some excitement. And I think this type of competition, this type of, the road atmospheres, I think it's going to wake this program up. That's my hope, anyways.
Yeah, it better, or else you look at it on paper. If it doesn't, right? If the clearly the players and coaches have to arrive prepared, but if the fans are prepared, it could get rough, right? That's the new reality. But I when I look at the schedule and you look at what these teams are going to be in 2023, you look at what they were in 2022, Auburn is the biggest question mark, right? Hire Hugh Freeze, new coach, and you look at their roster and what people are expecting them to be in 2023. It's a ton of transfer guys and a ton of old dudes. Peyton Thorne comes in from Michigan State. The assumption is he'll be their quarterback for 2023, but will it be Robbie Ashford in 2022? Will it be some type of transfer? I don't know, but that roster, out of anyone, I feel like I know the least about what that team's going to look like in 2024. It's kind of a mystery.
Well, yeah, and it's not just because of like what's happened now, like the last couple, it's just been a weird couple of years for Auburn. Been incredibly quiet. They neutered their coach previously by trying to get him fired. Impossible to put a recruiting class together whenever everyone thinks your coach isn't going to be around. So they're down on talent from where they traditionally are. But we could say whatever we want about Hugh Freeze. He can recruit, he can put a roster together, and he can typically build a pretty productive offense.
Yeah. And one thing we did learn, it sounds like OU's getting these teams, right, including the Texas game, right? So you look at the other 7, then they're going to get the other 7 in 2025. That's how I understood it, at least.
Yeah. That's same. I don't know,
because OU and Texas don't play any of the same teams in 2024.
Right.
So it seems like they'll just flip them, which means 2025 is going to be Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Arkansas, A&M, and Vandy. A lot of new.
As you look at it right now, it's the easier slate, but things change and they change quickly.
Yeah.
Georgia's in there. There ain't nothing easy about that, right? So it's going to be 2 years that are going to feel like we just played 22 straight non-conference games. There's going to be like, because you got no history with most of them. It's like they're all going to be one-off, haven't played at their place. We haven't hosted them. It's going to be, other than the OU Texas game, everything's going to be strange.
It's going to be a new regular season that kind of also feels like just a bowl game each week.
Yeah.
But they're coming to your place. You're going to their place. It's going to be strange, but it's so exciting. And the timing of the release is very beneficial for OU, right? Got Champ U Barbecue coming up this weekend. It has turned into OU's biggest recruiting weekend for those elite guys that they're really targeting. What Venables told us, 29 guys coming in for Champ U Barbecue. And now you can take this schedule.
It's your schedule, boys.
Say, hey, your first year in college, Bama's coming to town.
Don't want to hear any more about it. Don't want to hear any more about you got to play in this league. They can't use any of it against you anymore. Right? Awesome.
Yeah. But I guess the last thing is radio guys, everyone, players, coaches, fans, got to step it up. Collectively, all of us, the entire OU football family. And it starts with the atmosphere outside of the stadium on game day, and inside the stadium on game day. Tailgating, and I saw President Harris said, hey, things are going to change. Venables told us things are going to change. Going to ramp it up. And it needs to get ramped up in a big way, because I do think there are some OU fans that aren't fully aware of what life in the SEC is going to be like, and just how passionate a lot of these fan bases are. And we're going to hear stuff like, hey, OU fans, they're not SEC ready. Like, there's going to be stuff like that said, and it's up to all of us to prove those people wrong and to shut those people up. And that needs to start in 2023, right? We got to start training ourselves, Ted. We got to start getting ready for 2024. You got to practice before you play, baby.
That's it. Start practicing. Let's get this thing ramped up, which, by the way, I'm curious to see what those ticket sales are looking like. Don't you think?
Substantial, I would imagine.
Gotta be. Yeah, I agree. Everything's got to be cranked up, man, across the board. We got to get our NIL game right. We got to get on to the level of the competition. Right? You look at these NILs at Alabama, at Tennessee, at LSU. Right? These schools are piling cash in for recruit and for portal guys. That's the name of the game, man. This is it. We got to crank that up. We got to crank the in-stadium atmosphere, which, I'm not worried about are you worried about the in-stadium atmosphere when Alabama comes to town?
I am not, but I do think there's going to be an adjustment period, because, and this is stuff you and I have seen throughout the years. If you're one of those people that tells maybe the younger, rowdier people in front of you to sit down because you're having trouble seeing, you need to stop. That ain't a thing anymore. Stand your ass up. Make some noise.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be.
There's going to be some people that are going to need to adjust the way they conduct themselves in the stadium. Don't get mad at the people going crazy. That's what we need. Now, within reason, of course. Let's not be ridiculous. But yeah, we can't have people just sitting on their hands all game, man. That is not what we're looking for this stadium to be.
I am willing to give our fan base a pass with the schedules that we've had, with the kickoff times that we've had. It's hard to bring it. Let's be honest.
It's hard to bring it for 6 or 7 days a year, man. Come on.
Well, okay.
Come on, man.
I get that point. And that point is true.
No, but I agree. The games, the home slates have not been energizing, right?
No.
And
there's our fans when Ohio State came to town, fantastic. Great atmosphere. When Notre Dame came to town, incredible atmosphere.
We let you down, fans. I'm sorry. That was it. That was by far the best atmosphere I played in that stadium.
Two great. I mean,
electric.
When we have a big game that means something, that is, not just a big name, but someone's got a little number next to them, and we got a little number next to our name, and this is national championship type deciding stuff. If you lose this one, you're not going to be able to go. Our fans show up in a big way. So I'm not really worried about it, but we still need to practice it.
Yeah. Got to get ready.
Practice it.
Got to get ready. Use 2023. Use all the games where we got better players than everyone coming to town. Use those games to get ready. That's fair, right?
We should force our non-conference opponents to wear Alabama's uniform, or
hey, would you like to wear these throwbacks?
You could wear these Tennessee unis, right? We'll pay you extra.